Hey, my name is Brigham Webb, and this is my project for mechatronics. Let's get real here for a second. So, there's a lot of farmers out there that have pivots that go around in circles, and they slowly dig deeper and deeper, and eventually those pivots will get stuck, and the pivots will crash, and it's hundreds of thousands of dollars just wasted. If only there was a machine that can fill those pivot tracks before it gets to the point where it digs a hole too deep. Well, here she is, every farmer's dream come true. So this is what we call a pivot track filler. So I'm going to start with explaining the sensor in conjunction with the motor. So essentially, this machine is going to be pulled behind, well, this is a prototype, but it's going to be pulled behind a tractor, and this sensor is supposed to measure how far it is from the ground in order to fill the pivot track. If the pivot track is too deep, then this motor will activate and it will slide open this door. And so with this thing full of sand, it's going to make it so that it'll dump the correct amount of sand depending on how far this distance is measured. And now with the display we have the distance, and with this remote I can set how fast the tractor is moving. And the reason why that's important is because the faster the tractor is moving, the more sand we'll have to dump. And so we want to make sure that we have that working correctly. And let's see what else. Inside this box, you can see that it's a pretty tight fit. It's almost impossible to take off. You have all the wiring in there. So as you can see with this one particularly, this is for the LED screen, I had to solder this in order to not have to use the breadboard, which helped me have enough space. And I have about 10 pins used over here, and then I have 2 A pins used over here, and every single one of my grounds and V ends are being used. So it's quite a bit of wiring in there. And yeah, let's see this thing in action. Another display I wanted to explain a little bit is the motor, the rack and pinion. So one thing to note is that when if this was to not work right, and say it was to try to shut it too far, I was worried that the gears would break off, but turns out that the stepper motor is just not strong enough that it will slip before it breaks off the tooth. So that turned out really good. And then another thing to note is that if this gear kicks out too far, then it will no longer grab the rack. And so it's important that when I program this, that it didn't kick it out too far and it will slip. So now let's see this in action. So that's it not going far enough. So it's sliding back and forth. And now it's kicked out too far, so now it's spinning out. But once I adjust it just right, then it won't kick out.